Today I fucked up by opening a bag. Today I fucked up and may have committed a crime. So, a bit of setup, even though the actual foo was just a few hours ago. A couple of years ago, I set up a thick-walled contractor trash bag inside a frame in the unused side yard that my dogs would go to relieve themselves. Once a week or more I would go out there and pick up all their droppings with a shovel and collect them in the contractor bag. After a couple of weeks, I would close up the bag and toss the whole thing into the trash bin, following the strict instructions given on my city's waste collection services website. And this was the schedule one followed until the winter of 2021, when we had a series of storms that basically flooded our backyard. During this time, my dogs would go out to the main yard where there was higher ground and grass and do their business there. Then I would pick up their poop and put it into a covered trash can lined with another contractor bag. After a few months, this became the established procedure and it's the routine I follow to this day. During this time, I had forgotten about the big bag in the side yard, which had remained open to the sky and had collected a substantial amount of water, eventually collapsing under its own weight and closing itself. Somewhat. As time passed, the now largely ignored side yard became infested with tall weeds, completely obscuring from view the now forgotten garbage bag filled with feces and rainwater, leaving it to fester through 2 years of weather, during summer's hot days and several atmospheric rivers that only served to further churn and ferment the contents into an angry, foul, and disgusting goulash. It was yesterday that I decided to tackle and attack the overgrowth with a weed whacker, and that's when I rediscovered the bag of that revolting mixture. I had the luck of not hitting it with the trimmer and the sense not to open it. I resolved to clandestinely shove it into the trash bin the following day, since trash pickup in our neighborhood is on Thursdays. So today I rolled the trash bin into the side yard, turned it on its side, opened the lid near the bag, and used a shovel and a hoe to, as gently as possible, manipulate the bag into the open bin. And this is when today's fuck-up occurs. Somehow I miscalculated where the opening of the bag was, snagged the edge with the hoe, and accidentally exposed the fetid contents to the open air. I've smelled some awful things before, but this was beyond anything I've ever experienced. I nearly vomited but remembered some advice from a veterinarian. If you have to smell something really, really bad, like rotting or necrotic flesh, grin like an idiot. Somehow that inhibits the response to vomit. Since the wind was blowing in my direction, I immediately moved upwind to catch my breath and, grinning like an idiot, I repositioned myself to pull the offensive sack into the trash bin instead of pushing it in. I waited a few minutes to regain my composure before using the hoe to pull the heavy sack into the bin and slammed the lid shut. Pulling it upright, I started to wheel the bin to the curb. Behind our house is a quaint little park. Since school let out, the park has been filled with people and children. There's a quilting group that meets right behind our house where the trees provide shade so that they can work on their quilts. There's a basketball court where parents and children go to shoot some hoops, and a small playground where parents put their kids on swings, let them climb around on the play set, and use the slide. I heard the first scream close to the fence where the quilting group meets, and shortly after I heard someone yelling, "Oh good God! What is that smell?" Immediately followed by the unmistakable sounds of someone coughing and retching. I also heard, "Ah! That stinks," and, "Where in the fuck is that coming from?" The northerly wind had carried the overwhelming stench of the open bag to the park where it was sickening and nauseating people who had come to relax and enjoy the early summer afternoon. I thought I heard a child crying, but I'm not sure since I was hearing other sounds of distress coming from the park. I practically ran back into the house, stripped off all my clothing next to the washer and threw it in, hit the sanitize cycle, and took a long shower. I can still hear their screams. If it was a crime that I committed, let this be my confession. They say confession has the power to free us from the strongholds of sickness, sin, isolation, and torment, but nothing I do can wash this stain from my soul. Too long did not read. Today I fucked up and may have committed a crime by exposing innocent people in a nearby park to the stench from a gigantic bag of dog feces that had been festering and decaying in my yard for the better part of 2 years. Update. OP here. I really wanted to capture video of the big bag. Oh shit, getting picked up by the mechanical claw to be sloshed into the truck, but I missed the opportunity. Instead I offer a short addendum and a photo. Apparently the BBOS had to be the only thing in the bin because opening the lid released an eye-watering, concentrated plume of pure horror so bad that I couldn't toss the rest of this week's trash into it, lest I displace a fatal volume of feculent gas upon my neighborhood. The bin itself bears the scars of obscene tracks of concentrated aged dog excrement and it smells, well, like absolute shit. I took a chance by opening it to take this photo and feel fortunate that my iPhone's protective case only melted a little. Update. They're not to blame. They just contributed. Grin for your lives. OP's vivid description of how the contents of the bag festered through the different seasons is making me feel sick, nauseated face, but a true today I fucked up indeed. Waiting for the today I fucked up post from the parent that spewed all over their child, causing them to cry because of some foul smell in the park today, rolling on the floor laughing, cold sweat smile. Me grinning while watching. I was waiting for the part where you were caught doing this deed while grinning like an idiot. Today I fucked up by hiring a prostitute. So after a tough year working in remote area in the middle of nowhere, my friend, coworker, 26M, asked me, 25M, to go with him on vacation for a week, and I said hell yeah, why not had been my lifestyle for the last year. So we went to that country, visited multiple cities, and had a lot of fun. My friend in one of the places told me he knew some prostitute through Snapchat map and he already met her in the previous city. I noticed that he left the hotel one night and returned late. She will travel to meet him and she could bring a friend with her if I'm interested. So following my motto I said why not. The next day we met up with the girls and split up. I took the girl, 2 years older than me, to my room, chatted a little bit and kissed, then we left around sunset to the coast, rented a boat and continued chatting. That girl wasn't what I expect. She was smart, intelligent, beautiful, and we shared a lot of things, especially how we see things and think about people. She asked a lot of questions and so did I. But she asked a question that I didn't expect and didn't want to answer because it was too deep. She said, you are a nice, kind person but something is wrong inside you. Something dark in your heart. What's it? Can you talk about it? As a man in my environment, the only thing you can do about your feelings is bottle it up and never talk about it. And I knew there's something wrong with me. And I was trying to fill that empty void in me since a long time, especially the last few years with my job paying very well for me. Because we were in a boat I couldn't run away from the answer. I tried revolving around the subject but without any success, until I saw a bathroom in the boat and I excused myself. After the boat we walked near the harbor, laughing and talking, eating some ice cream until we reached the hotel and sent her to take her bags to spend the night with me. My friend came to take his bags also, and gave me a condom. He's been a good friend as usual, winked and left. Shortly she brought her stuff, took a shower and we sat and talked. She brought up that question again and really insisted on getting some answers. Finally I gave up and started talking about my life, family and the struggles I have been through since the first memory I remember. The things I have never discussed with a human before has finally come out and loud. She understood, but couldn't say a lot because she didn't expect that much of trauma. So I kissed her and we end up naked in the bed. I putted the condom on, and before I could start doing my job, I started having something like a panic attack. My heart was beating quickly, body shivering. I just let my head on her chest and stopped for a couple of minutes. She tried to calm me down by massaging my back, whispering in my ear everything will be okay, and I couldn't lift my head up, just froze in that position. After a while managed to pull myself together, clean up, put up a robe, got back in the bed, kissed her, turned on the TV and slept. In the morning we ate breakfast, paid the girl, met up with my friend, bagged up and traveled back home. I didn't tell anyone yet, and usually I don't trust anyone to tell them anything, especially my feelings and struggles. I'm more depressed ATM than the usual, and I think I need to visit a psychologist, which I knew I should do since the pandemic, but I didn't want to do it, and now I must give it a chance. Too long did not read. I hired a prostitute, end up talking about our life. She insisted on knowing more about me, vented out a little bit about my struggles, and instead of having fun I have to see a shrink. Edit. 1. English isn't my native language and I'm not going to apologize, Mr. Shakespeare. 2. I'm going to see a shrink but I have to go back to work before that. I arrived Wednesday and I have to be there, 500 kilometers from home, Saturday morning, so I'm traveling today unfortunately. 3. No, I'm not Tony Soprano, and now I see the similarity, but this did happen whether you believe it or not. 4. I think I should play Cyberpunk and watch The White Lotus. 5. The prostitution industry isn't that developed in my region like Western, so I'm ruling out the idea of parlor tricks and mind games. 6. Guys, I rather have this experience a million times than meaningless sex and one night stand, so I'm not ashamed even if she fooled me as you want me to believe. 7. To clarify something I didn't say, The girls traveled 200 kilometers to meet us, but the girl I had was invited by her friend to spend the weekend on the beach resort, and didn't know about me until they arrived, so I told her initially that she doesn't have to do anything if she's uncomfortable, but later that night she initiated intimacy, not me, to be honest. 8 people who say I should find Jesus. With all due respect, read my name and figure it out. Thanks all for this feedback. I feel little bit better because of you, and it won't be Reddit if no one made fun of you. I may have to delete this post later today because it's spreading and I don't feel comfortable about it. Don't get confused and try to beat cheeks at the therapist's office. So you went deeper than expected, if I understand correctly. Honestly, I know some escorts and that sounds pretty par for the course. You'd be shocked how many men really just need someone to talk to and feel profoundly alone. In college, some of my friends worked as strippers and they said 90% of the job was just listening to lonely old men and truckers vent about their problems. Guess it was easier and cheaper to talk to cute college girls in thongs than a shrink? Because we were in a boat, I couldn't run away from the answer. Because of the implication. Inverse basket case. I went to a shrink. To analyze my dreams. She says it's lack of sex that's bringing me down. I went to a whore. She said my life's a bore. So quit my whining cuz it's bringing her down. Today I fucked up by eating before my significant other arrived so that she wouldn't steal my food. The fuck up happened today, but it has been going on for months before I had to spill the beans. For additional context, I will add that my significant other and I have been together for a bit more than 6 years and that we have taken the habit of going to the restaurant once a week, or at the very minimum once every 2 weeks. We often go to the same restaurants and they are very close to my workplace, so it is no surprise for her that I would already be there or would have already ordered a drink before she arrives. Most people like their food. Others like other people's food even more, and my significant other is one of the latter. When we go to the restaurant, she will order something she likes and I will order something I like too. The issue is that no matter how hard I tried, she cannot resist picking things on my plate before she attacks her own. She does it under the pretense that my food looks good, or tastes better than hers. Well, a few months ago, I have seen an image of someone stating that they work at a restaurant and that a guy always came 45 minutes early and ordered food. 8 then asked the waiter to set the table as if he just sat down. When his wife would arrive, he would order the exact same thing as he ordered minutes prior and act as if he was giving it a shot. No need to go into details, but I felt like this person was a genius and that I had been blessed with a piece of forbidden knowledge. It was so simple and yet so smart, I couldn't believe I never thought of it. I applied what I had seen on our next date and started doing it every time. Fast forward to the present, we were at the restaurant and the waiter brought the tab. As usual, I stood up, took it, and went to the counter to pay, but this time, my significant other followed me. When I arrived and pulled out my card to pay, she caught a glimpse of what was written on the machine but said nothing at the time. While we were walking to our respective cars, she explained that she thinks they did a mistake and asked me to check the receipt. At this point, I knew it was over and explained what I had been doing for the past months. I spilled everything from the funny image to how it made our weekly outing a much more enjoyable experience for the both of us since I stopped fighting to protect my precious food and I got to enjoy what I had ordered. She didn't like that I kept it a secret from her and that I once again tried things I had seen online on our relationship but ended up laughing after 20 minutes of me panicking and justifying my actions. And #X200B. Edit. A few people suggested that we order a third dish to share. We tried, but the issue is that she doesn't want to keep doing this, as she said that it just doesn't taste the same, isn't as fun, and makes no sense to order a third dish when we both have ours. Please do not think that I went to such an extent as a way to avoid conversation or compromises. We tried different things, but she didn't like any of them and she got fed up with me bringing it up, so automatically ended up in arguments. With my food though, she realized how far she pushed me and said she will try to be more mindful, so we will see how it goes next week. Edit 2. I do not just let her step over my boundaries. We communicated and tried different things. She most often gets very defensive and I am just fed up arguing about food multiple times a month. We will see how it goes next week though, since she said she will be more mindful of how much she does it. Edit 3. Please, don't be so rude toward her and me. I have seen some insulting comments about our relationship and personalities, but outside of this topic, everything goes well. We have no issues with each other and communication is good. Don't forget that you are judging off of a post made on a very specific thing. As for the people pointing out how disrespectful her behavior is, you are right. I think with time and how often we got into arguments about it, I lowered my expectations regarding the way she acts when food is involved at a restaurant a bit too much. I appreciate your constructive criticism for those who took the time to make some and will straighten my back again like I used to because it goes both ways. Edit 4. Alright everyone. I get what you are saying and yes you are right. I have my part of responsibilities in the matter since I have allowed her to go as far as she has. I will address the issue again when she comes back home and we'll get to the bottom of it. And #X200B. Too long did not read. My significant other always steals food from my plate when we are at the restaurant, so I started going early to eat before she arrives and had to spill the beans today. So you're both basically eating 1.5 dinners then each time if you're ordering extra and she's eating half of yours plus all of hers. Just eat stuff from her plate every time she takes from yours and parrot her lines back to her if she complains. Pollution only, Joey, doesn't share food. You know. If two people order nachos to share, one person can't just eat all the fully loaded nachos before the other one arrives. This is wild to me. Does she not have the ability to respect your wishes? If you said you don't like her taking your food, is she really such an asshole that she'd ignore that and eat your food anyway? And your response is to pay for twice the amount of food once a week? Why not just get a third plate or go to a restaurant with communal plates? Next time you go, let her order first. Then order the exact same thing.